I'm up to visit for a couple of days, but my community doesn't think in those small terms. So what we actually did was brought them home to you permanently.
Welcome to Always Give Back, a charity that supports our active duty and military veterans. We believe that our service members deserve better support and strive to utilize our resources to create a supportive community. As part of this mission, we want to build a welcoming and inclusive community that will provide support in many areas. And with your support, we can empower individuals to overcome challenges and thrive. With the support of our community, it allows us to build PCs for veterans, give care packages to our active duty members, and even offer partner giveaways. While their mission may be over, ours is just beginning. And if you want to support or partner with our charity, please visit our website at alwaysgiveback.org. Together, we can help and support our heroes. And remember to always give back.
Yeah, Miles, it was working on my thing. I'm seeing the stream here.
Boom! We're all live now on all channels. Now we're officially live on all channels.
There we go.
Both on AGB Charity on Kick and both on my personal Twitch channel and Oz's personal Twitch channel. So we're live on all three channels here, trying to get you guys back up to speed on where the Balls Deep podcast has been for the last, well, technically like 2.5 months for the podcast.
Yeah.
So we're glad to be back. And the same message as always, you guys just watched the intro video on my two channels. This is what we do on the charity channel. We're here supporting veterans, talking about, on this podcast specifically, you guys already heard it on Oz's channel, but we're here talking about traumatic events, talking about, how to overcome them, and, just helping everybody out, just being that, battle buddy for everybody to then just, don't let everybody go back into that darkness. God, it's been a while. I feel so rusty, dude. I feel like I'm an idiot right now. But anyway,
No, you're doing fine. You're doing fine.
We're gonna just fucking move past this introduction, because I remember that was one of things I used to do before, a long introduction. So we're just gonna get right back into it. So you were saying on your channel, kind of what you have been going through the last 2.5 months. So reset, hit it again.
Reset. Oh my God, where did I start?
You had a job last episode. Last episode we did, you were working.
Yeah, but what I said before that was really good, and I don't remember what it was.
It'll come back to you, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Well, we were talking about sharing feelings, but
Yeah. So, all right, I'll just kind of start fresh here. Yeah, it's been a while since we've gotten together here. Like he said, about 2.5 months.
Yeah, it was just before Memorial Day, I think, was our last episode.
Yeah, that sounds right. And yeah, I've been going through some things. You've been going through some things. We kind of had to put the show on hold for a little bit and deal with our own stuff. But the second you and I reconnected, like it was like a few minutes had passed before we were talking about the podcast again.
Bringing it back, yeah.
Yeah, bringing it back for sure. Because it's important, and we both deep down like really want to do it, so we kind of always gravitate back towards it. But yeah, Balls Deep podcast, the show where we go balls deep on men's health issues, whether it be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, whatever it may be, so that we make sure we got all the ends covered and we can kind of figure out a way to become the best version of ourselves, which is the most important thing. Now, last time we did the show, I had a job. I currently don't have a job anymore, which is one of the reasons why we haven't been doing the show. I've been dealing with that, and those feelings, and trying not to slip back into my old habits. But surprisingly, I didn't. Like, I was a little bummed out, as any normal human should be, but it didn't like cascade into this pit of despair. So I was like,
that's actually pretty awesome, dude.
So I was like, I lost a job. It sucks. Yeah, I'm bummed out. I don't really have anything to do, and I'm trying not to like stay in my bed all day. So I get up, I do things, I go for walks, I look for jobs, um, you know, stream here and there on my Twitch channel. Been playing a
Thanks,
lot of
Doug.
Marvel Rivals, which is awesome.
So actually, that actually brings me to a really cool kind of question quote that I've heard in somebody else's podcast. Um, here's the question: if you guys heard it in chat, don't answer so quickly. Give this man a chance to answer. But the question goes like this: there's two wolves. One's locked up in the light. One's locked up in the dark. Which one lives?
What's the situation like?
They're
Well, I
just,
guess
they're locked up in cages. One just has light into his cage. The other one is in total darkness. Which one lives?
Is the light from the sun or is it artificial?
Yeah, light from the sun. Whatever kind of light you want.
Oh, it's light from the sun. I kind of want to say the one in the darkness because he's hiding from any possible threats.
The one you feed.
Mm,
If you feed the one in the darkness lives. If you feed the one in the light one lives, and the opposite one dies. So it basically goes back to kind of your mentality. It's a mental thing. If you feed the light that's inside of you, the darkness
Yeah.
inside of you will die. If you feed the darkness inside of you, the light in you will die. So it goes like a lot of people say, super masculine dudes, super fake alpha guys say that depression isn't real. It's a made up thing. It's all in the mind. And to an extent, it is in your mind, obviously, but it's not. It's 100% real, right? We've both been there, and God knows who else has been there, where that darkness just feels overwhelming at times. And what you just did in the last month or so about losing your job and not going back into that darkness that we both know that we can both go back to, you stayed positive and you fed the light inside of you. And that is what that quote stands for. So if you feed the light lives. If you feed the dark lives.
it totally makes sense.
Pretty deep, huh?
Yeah, and by feed you mean like,
Well, for us, feed means, again, what you've been doing. The epiphany you had in the past episodes you talked about, which I'm sure that you probably went back to that and you probably talked to God and gave yourself some
every
grace.
day.
Yeah.
Every day.
Yeah. Sick.
Every day. I mean, it's not as intense, but it's like, hey, thanks.
Right.
Thanks
and
for everything.
You're feeding yourself physically by going on walks, getting out there, getting some vitamin D and all that other good stuff. That's feeding yourself.
Yeah.
And as long so you got a cut, taking care of yourself.
Oh yeah.
Keeping yourself. That's part of feeding ourselves.
Yeah, it's crazy how I look younger than I did when I was 26.
Well, yeah, when we were woofing, yeah, that's actually that's how I feel. I got a cut, and I was like, oh shit, I can kind of see my face a little bit. What the hell?
Yeah.
So I completely get that. So yeah, where have I been the last 2.5 months? Oh shit. So our last episode, we were telling our young adulthood stories and our traumatic events that happened there. I talked a little bit about my war experiences. You were talking about obviously mostly the relationship with your mother and your parents, kind of how that has affected you pretty deeply. And then, but just why we stopped recording and being here live is, you got your job and you were trying to work your ass off, trying to, establish yourself there, make your overtime and all that good stuff. So with work, it kind of like postponed that a little bit. And literally the following week before we can get back to recording again, it was Memorial Day. Or Memorial Day weekend, I think it was that weekend. And I ended what I believed was probably the best relationship I've ever had with a woman. And that was really hard for me. Again, there was a lot of other factors going on that I was dealing with that I couldn't really share with that person because that person has made the relationship kind of toxic in the way where if I were to say something and try to be open, eventually that would be thrown in my face and used against me as a weapon. So we didn't really have really good communication, right? I couldn't really talk to my partner about what was going on inside of my head. So, and then obviously a year and a half ago, I lost my actual work partner of 3.5 years to suicide. He killed himself. And so I never really healed from that. I kind of just like kept going without really, really talking to somebody about that and processing those emotions. And then later on that same year, I got hurt at the gym. So I lost my little sanctuary of, my relief. So I was basically home, and I got, sucked into being in front of a computer all the time because I couldn't talk to my partner. I lost my work partner. I didn't want to bother my friends. That's again my personal feeling. I didn't want to bother my friends with the bullshit, because everybody deals with, everybody has their shit in their lives, but I didn't feel like I had anybody to talk to or anything like that. So I was dealing with that darkness for a year and a half, and then it just all came out, and I ended that relationship. That was really hard. I went to a really dark place, like really dark place. And I was at work in my thoughts and my emotions, just contemplating probably something I shouldn't be contemplating. And I was just sitting there watching a movie and a show. And then all of a sudden I got this overwhelming feeling like in my chest. And I got out of my car, my patrol car, and I felt like I could breathe. Like I just took this really big, deep breath, and I was just like, oh shit. And I just felt like all that shit that's been inside of me for a year and a half kind of just like came off. And I couldn't do anything besides just look up. And I think the moment that you had in your bedroom in your last story, where you felt something like kind of hug you and come into you, I felt the opposite. I didn't feel the hug. I felt the lift. Like for a second, hey,
Yeah.
like here's a break. You've been going through a lot. Here's a break.
Yeah.
And
I know
when
exactly what you mean.
when I took that deep breath, I instantly fully energized. Like I felt like me again.
Like all this crap that was
Yeah,
weighing you down.
yeah. Like, don't get me wrong, the crap came back, right? Because
Mhm.
but just having that relief for that brief second was the perfect reminder of who I was and the warrior that I know that I am. And it was almost like affirming, like, hey, I picked you, and I gave you the tools to be this warrior. Now don't forget. And as the weeks went on, I got back into the gym thanks to one of my good friends. I hit him up, like, bro, I really need the gym. He's like, fuck it, let's just go. So we started going back to the gym. Obviously work is crazy sometimes for us. So sometimes we don't go to the gym all the time together, but I stuck with it. I've been in the gym 5 times a week, easily 5 times a week, going hard like I used to. I completely changed my diet. My workouts are back to where they used to be. I've lost 25 pounds in 2 months.
Nice.
And then if life didn't have a sixth sense of humor, just when I'm feeling good about myself and everything's like, okay, yeah, I'm good. Like I'm good. I'm still dealing with this. I still talk about it, with him. I started going to church. Right. I just go just to listen, just to be in that presence. Maybe my walls are still up, and I don't feel like how you feel sometimes, but just being there makes me feel like, okay, cool. I got it. I'm feeling like I'm getting it. Just hearing whatever the priest says or the pastor, just hearing it, just like it makes me like, okay, cool. Got it. My father died July 22nd, so it's last week. Yeah, Friday was his funeral. Sunday he passed. Yeah, last Sunday my dad passed. And I didn't have like the best relationship with my father. I actually hadn't seen my father since I bought my house about 2 years ago. He came to my house. I was doing some work with my uncle, I was like, hey, come over. You know, your brother's here. I'll just come by. You haven't seen the house yet. Just come over. And for like a week straight, every day, my dad and my uncle were here and we were doing work. And that was nice.
Cool.
Right. And then we would go out and eat afterwards some of the days, not every day, but we would go out and eat sometimes together, which was nice because, you know, I never really had that relationship with my dad. And then again, things just went back to normal. Like again, work was done and no more dad. Right. So I hadn't talked to my dad. I didn't see my dad for about 2 years. And then my sister called, who I haven't talked to or seen in God knows how long. And she texted me because she know I wouldn't pick up the phone, but she texted me saying, hey, Dad's in the hospital. And then I called her to find out what was going on. And she said that he was transferred to the ICU. He's been in the hospital for like at that time was about a week. Got transferred to the ICU, and they're trying to stabilize him to then give him an oxygen tank to then release him to go home, which was the last message I heard from her. And that was like on a Saturday or a Sunday. And then later that week on Thursday, she calls me and says, he's not going to make it. I was like, I thought he was going home. Yeah, the doctors are saying no. His heart's failing. His liver's failing. His kidneys are shot. His lungs can barely, provide oxygen with him without a ventilator. And I was just like, oh, fuck. They want me to, she's telling me like they wanted her to sign a bunch of papers, and she says she couldn't because, it's her dad. So I get it. And I flew down there. Angry though. I flew down there angry. I was mad, right? I was just fucking angry. Like this motherfucker. All the times we told you to, eat right, go for walks and all this other shit. I was like, in my mind, I was like, this is what you get. Like blaming him, being so fucking mad. And my mom came with me. So, and then once we got to the hospital, I was super angry, also anxious and nervous. Like I didn't know what to feel, to be honest. I didn't know what I was going to say. I didn't know how I was going to act. I also didn't know the condition he was really in. And I remember walking into that room and just breaking down. Because then it hit me like, yeah, that's your father. And he looks like fucking shit. He's got, I think it was like 9 bags of medication. He's got a mask just fucking pumping air into him. He looks swollen because of all the meds and shit he's on. And it was just like, it was really hard to see. And then my mom also, she broke down and she was, he started talking. Apparently he hadn't been talking for like the last 2 days before we got there. And then all of a sudden, he saw my mom. He started talking to her. He almost looked happy in his shitty situation. He looked happy. And then he asked if I was there. Like, you haven't asked about me for 2 years. Like, what? And I didn't really approach him right away, because I still felt a certain type of way. But then I saw him reach out his hand, and so I grabbed his hand and I stepped up, and bro, that hurt. That hurt me pretty good. And then, then a couple hours go by. I asked to talk to the doctors, and the doctors basically said, like, even with this treatment that he's on, he might have 3 months. But if we take him off the treatment, he'll have a couple of hours, maybe a day. And, and then I was like, hey, no bullshit. Like, what's your medical opinion? What would be the best course of action? And they basically said to make it as comfortable for him as possible and take him off the meds. And they're right, because I wouldn't want to be in the state that he was in. My mom didn't want to be in the state. Nobody wants to be in that just sheer fucking agony, right? So I made the decision, and that was hard because I didn't feel like I should have. I haven't seen him in 2 years. I'm not the oldest. I'm actually the youngest of all the siblings. But my dad only has his daughter and me as his actual siblings, his actual kids, and she wasn't prepared to make the decision. And then that's when I remembered. I'm like, you're the warrior. You're the guy. You're the guy that runs into the fire. You're the guy that runs towards the violence. Not that the situation was violent, but I had to be the one to step up and make the decisions. And so I did. I think it was Saturday. That was Friday. And then Saturday around 8:00, they transferred him to our private room, and they started him on the comfort meds. And my dad made it about 12 hours. 8:00 the next morning, he was gone. And weirdly enough, that is when I learned how to forgive. At that very moment, I learned how to forgive. And it's been hard, but I've been at the most peaceful state mentally I've ever been in my entire life. 35 years of trauma with him, gone. Like, it's still there, obviously, but it's like the pain, like that just pit inside of you, it's gone. And then it just.
So now, what's the difference now when you think about your dad versus when he was alive and you thought about him?
I still
Very
think
different.
there's still memories, right? There's still a lot of bad memories, but it's more like, I don't know. It's like they don't hurt anymore. Like I don't feel resentment. I don't feel hatred. I don't feel angry. I just like, God damn it, you're such a dumbass. Like, you're just a dumbass. We could have, I know you're the way you are, but like, we could have talked about something. We could have done something together. Things could have been different. And then I start thinking like, I wish they were.
But
To be-
too, though, as well what it's like for or to be able to distinguish how a man feels and then what he does. Because
that's anybody.
Like we could feel a certain type of way about somebody, but then at the same time we could get in our own way about expressing those emotions. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? I'm guilty of doing that.
Same.
So like imagine like an old school head with an older generation mentality, I'm saying it like what I mean is like, he may not have expressed his love to you in the way that he would have liked,
Mhm.
but it doesn't mean that deep down inside he didn't love you. I mean, you're his son, you're his
Well,
child.
that's
How
funny.
could how could a parent not love his child?
It's funny you say that, because when he was talking to me, he asked me if I was going to leave, and I told him, "No, I'm here until the end."
Hmm.
And then he, like, you can tell, like, he smiled a little bit, and he's, and then obviously he's a little, drugged up a little bit, and he started talking some weird shit, and then he goes, and he, like, it looked like he snapped back into it. He goes, "You're my son. You're my son." And I go, "You're my dad, right? No matter what." And like, he starts thanking me for saying that. So you're right. Obviously, the old school mentality, which is why that's why this podcast is important. That's why I want to bring it back. I want to come back, and I want to keep doing this and keep pushing this forward, because the generations before us didn't have this. They didn't have the ability to talk to people and reach as many people as platforms like this can do, and help change the stigma of, you have to bottle everything up inside. You have to be this certain type of person. And you, like, men don't cry. Men don't
kill you, man.
Faster than anything. Faster than stress.
Mm-hmm.
Stress is what kills you the fastest. But stress isn't just stress. It's so much other things that just work into it that literally destroys you. Bit by bit, piece by piece, it literally destroys you. And
it really does.
And that's why it's so important to, one, talk about it, obviously, which
And what's crazy about that kind of shit is like it gets planted in you like a seed and then it slowly consumes you. And it's like by the time some people realize it, it's like the damage is already
Mhm.
it's already so much, like it's
Yeah.
sad. It's so sad that it took your dad being on his deathbed to be like, you're my son and you're like, and you're my dad. Like it shouldn't be like that.
Well,
It shouldn't be like that.
that's technically how my family rolls, though. It usually takes a special occasion to get everybody together and
Yeah,
come.
because
It's
people are stubborn. You know why? Because
oh, bro.
people are prideful. People's egos are massive.
Hmm.
People are stubborn. People go through life thinking that they can do things their way and that they don't need anything else. And that's what happens when you try to carry the weight of the world on your shoulders alone and do things your way.
Yeah.
And it's so sad because
Well, to some extent, I think you have to, right? You have to like kind of do that a little bit because it's your life, and to some extent you have to carry your burden, uh, but you don't have to do it alone, right? You don't have to do it alone. You could have a support system of friends that you know y- they don't have to share in your problems, but just knowing that they're there. You can talk to them, even if it's just a distraction to kind of, recalibrate your brain, recalibrate your mindset, recalibrate your feelings. That is good, right? And then obviously, if you have a partner in life, in a relationship or whatever whatever the situation might be, um, knowing that you can have somebody to kind of share, maybe not sharing the misery, but to give you a hug. Having somebody tell you, "Hey, it'll be okay." My boy.
Mhm.
My boy,
Yeah.
that's one of the greatest things I've ever heard come out of anybody's mouth. Just
I'm
having it.
really I want to say though that I'm really glad that things happened the way that they did
100%. Me too, actually.
and that your pops was around long enough to have one more conversation with you and that he didn't just pass away suddenly
Yeah.
because I feel like if he had just passed away suddenly, you might be in a kind of a little bit of a different headspace right now, but
Oh, 100%.
the fact that you were able to actually have that kind of that closure, as
That
much closure as you could get with
that
him
la yeah,
before,
that last moment, yeah.
that did wonders for you, and I think it's because of that, like, everything's happening for a reason, like, the weight getting lifted off of you and stuff like that. I know in my story, I told you that I got hugged, but after he hugged me, and I felt that, and I felt the presence of the Holy Spirit in the room with me, I said, "I offer you my depression, my anxiety, my thoughts of worthlessness, all the negative all the negative spirits that are within my body, I offer that to you as a gift." And I felt that. And I felt that void inside of me that had always felt it just like when you pick up a health bar in a video game and you got low health and that crevasse just goes
Yep.
and I'm just like I go to bed and then the next morning I wake up and it's like completely different.
Mhm.
In here, completely different. Whereas like 24 hours prior, like so far gone, just numb and just like ready to go, honestly. And then like
It's funny you say all that because it was like his last gift to me. It didn't just heal the relationship or the trauma that I had with him. If I can forgive that man, 35 years of fucking bullshit. If I can forgive him, bro, everybody else is like, it's nothing to me. 2.5 year relationship, gone. Like to me, hey, hope like I was so angry at that dude, that whole situation because I played back in my head because at the end of the day I am that kind of rational kind of uh methodical thinker of like, hey, how can I do this? How can I what went wrong? I stopped that thinking. I let it go. Like, I hope she's happy. I hope she has a good life. I hope she gets what she wants to get in life. I hope everything. I wish the best for her. Same thing with my ex-wife. Again, I used to say, like, I hate that bitch. I don't hate her anymore. I don't hate her any I don't. If I can forgive him, I can forgive anybody. And I forgave myself. Most importantly, I forgave myself. Then I forgave my ex, all my exes, which there's only 3 of them. I forgave all of them. And I'm just like, I don't hate nobody no more. Like, hey, it is what it is. It has almost like negative kind of meaning nowadays, but it really was what it was. And it like, bro, I don't know. Like, obviously I still, you still go back in your thoughts. Again, if you feed the darkness, it's going to grow. And now that I have also never wanted, like, we always talk about changing and being different. I've never wanted change and to really better myself on all 3 pillars more than I have ever wanted in my life. Like, ever. Like, I was questioning if going to church was the right decision. I don't question it anymore. Even if I get there and the message just makes absolutely no sense to me, I listen. I reflect on it. Can't wait for the next lesson. I diet, health-wise, gym-wise, like my physical stuff. Yeah, being sore sucks, but being sore is also awesome because you know that you're doing what needs to be done to your body. Taking vitamins, eating the right foods. Yeah, okay, it's not fucking cake, but you know what? It's the fuel that I need. It's feeding the light. It's feeding the good inside of me so I can keep moving forward, so I can keep picking up the weight, so I can keep doing the cardio, so I can keep living and being there for the people that I care about and that I love. And then mentally, man, the podcast, talking to friends, just trying to be open. Like, before, I'd be shaking right here. Like, yeah, I'm still fidgeting with the pen just because there's a camera in front of me. But you know that it'd be so hard for me to kind of get this stuff out. And like, I'm almost fighting myself. I don't feel that no more. It needs to happen. Change needs to happen. Forgive yourself. You are human. You're not perfect. Change. And that is the fucking mentality going forward.
You notice how, like, when all that weight was lifted up off of you, now suddenly you're kind of more open. So if you think back to it in hindsight, before, when you're like hesitant about sharing, or you're more like enclosed, it's like there was something inside of you that wasn't you holding you back from being your true self.
That's actually a good point. I was going to say, if people say, oh, I have my armor on, I don't feel like it wasn't armor. It was a blockage. The walls were the trauma. Again, the weight's still there. Like, right, I still have all those memories. I still have all the trauma, but it's no longer around me. I'm carrying it now. It's behind me. It's the lessons that I've learned that I'm not going to throw away because they're also memories, good and bad. You have to accept the good with the bad, because if you just accept the good and ignore the bad, nothing really changes in your life, and bad things still happen. You're just like, oh, I can't think about that right now, and then it builds and builds and builds and builds and builds, and eventually you hit it, and it's just like it's not good, obviously. So you got to accept you got to accept everything. You got to accept the good with the bad. You have bad moments, good. Now it's time to make good moments. You have good moments, good. Let's build on them, So it's like, I know the mentality shift in here has just been, I'm good, bro. Like,
I do have a question for you, or a piece of advice that would actually help me tremendously, and I'm sure it would probably help some of the viewers
send it
who are watching. Now, like you, I have also endured 35 years of abuse from a parent.
Yep.
How now knowing where you're at, right? Like, personally, I don't want to wait until my mom's on her deathbed to have that peace. And I'm sure the people watching feel the same way. Is there any advice that you could offer us to help make peace with that while there is still time left to be enjoyed with that person while they're around?
So I'm no professional. And just a reminder to everybody, we're not professionals here. So any piece of advice we're going to give out, you use it at your own risk. Man, that is a solid question. Well, you know what? I'm going to hit you with this. What would Jesus do?
He would forgive.
But you don't know how. He was obviously blessed with knowledge. There was a passage, actually, one of the very first passages that the priest read before my dad died, which made sense. It made sense to me instantly, but it made sense to me after he died. With all my, with him and, my exes and all that stuff. And the passage in the Bible, there was a passage, I already forget what it was because, memory shit, brain trauma. But it basically read that Jesus and the apostles went to a village. And the village wasn't very welcoming. But the village was in need. And they were suffering. They were hungry. They had sick. They didn't really believe. The religion that they believed in wasn't the same. What did Jesus do? Hey guys, regardless, we need to love them. Because we don't hate. We love. Regardless if they hate us or not, regardless if they believe or not, we know what is true. We know the good that we can do. So in the passage, it says that he went into the town, shared his food, and healed the sick. Regardless if they believed in him or not, regardless if they loved him or not, he spread love. Now, easier said than done. Obviously, he's fucking Jesus, so obviously he's magical and shit like that. But my advice to you in a smaller scale, and I know it's hard, believe me, I know it's hard. And I am 100% at fault for not doing it for my father, for my exes, for anybody. But if you can find a way, even in the hardest times, again, don't feed the darkness, feed the light. And if you have to feed your own light, eventually it will shine on other people. Approach the situation. Remember my story. Remember, there's probably 100 million stories just like mine, if not worse. Remember the story and approach whoever, it's your mom, but whoever in your life, with humility and love, even when it's hard and you kind of feel like it's undeserving. Instead of snapping, instead of, talking in maybe a disrespectful tone, maybe take that breath and know that in their own way, they're trying to connect with you in their old school mentality way, and they're trying to help you in their way that obviously, again, their ignorance shouldn't be a reason, but it is. And as long as you are smart enough, humble enough to know that, you need to do the action. You need to do what it takes for you to maybe develop that relationship or develop the light that you want from your mom or whoever in your life, to then show them the way. I'm not saying be Jesus, but show them the way to the light, to that love, to maybe work towards a way where you guys can kind of meet in the middle, to where the communication then begins. And then maybe you can build a relationship with her that is more positive than negative. And
I heard a saying once that really resonated with me, and it went, you can't be a good child to a bad parent.
But you can. But you can, though. And if you believe in God and Jesus and the Holy Spirit, you can.
Of course.
Those people hated him. He got crucified for obviously more reasons that we probably know, right? but he basically died for us, for our sins, is what they say. But it was, again, there was a whole regime, a whole political regime, right, that was also involved, right? There's more to the story, obviously, that we'll probably never know. And he did it with humility. And he, again, forgive them, Father. They're sinners. Forgive them. With love, with humility. You know? And
Forgive them,
that
for they know not what they do.
Again, ignorance shouldn't be a reason, because they're older than us. They should be smarter than us, but they're stuck in their old ways. And you, like, I always believed the saying, oh, you can't teach a dog new tricks. I always thought that was a bullshit expression. It's like, of course you can. With certain people, nah, you can't teach a fucking dog new tricks whatsoever. But what you can do is you can do the right thing, which we had a conversation on the phone where, again, I had all this hatred and resentment towards my father and even my mom, right? Even my mom was like, I don't want this in the funeral. I don't want that in the funeral. It doesn't need to be this big thing, whatever. And I was like, but he would like that. But he would appreciate that. Who am I to tell somebody that they don't deserve? I'm a nobody. I'm humble enough to say that I am just a speck in this life. So I did things. I did a little extra things. I called everybody. I was the one making all the phone calls. I called a bunch of people. I got my work involved, and the last thing I want to do is be emotional and have my job there. But I got my job involved. Again, I did things I never thought I would do for my father, because at the end of the day, it was just the right thing to do, and I need the peace. And he, just because he never gave it to me doesn't mean I don't deserve it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's why sometimes you do have to carry those burdens yourself, but you also have to heal yourself. And that's why I did what I did for my father. Because I know at the end of the day, I know I did the right thing. And I know that he would have liked those things. And it was my way, even though he's already dead, to show him, hey, despite everything, I forgive you. You are my dad, and I care about you. You know, hopefully anybody watching, it doesn't get to that point for you. Hopefully you can start today, this very moment. And I was going to give you another example. We've been in relationships before, regardless if they ended well or not. We've been in relationships before. Imagine if you were home, just kind of not like depressed, but just feeling kind of shitty. And that person just came up to you randomly and just gave you a hug. How would you feel?
What person?
Whoever you're
What
with.
person?
Whoever you're with. Let's just
if I'm in a relationship. And
yeah, let's just say relationship. You're in a relationship. You come home from work, or you just come home and you just had a shitty day, and you're really not really ready to talk about it because you're still in your fucking feelings. And without any rhyme or reason, that person just comes up to you and just hugs you.
Feels nice.
That's what you should do with your mom. Show her your love. I know you have it. If there's one thing,
but it's being weighed down by all the resentment that she put there as well.
You need to be stronger than your resentment. Feed the light. Stop feeding the resentment. Stop holding on to that shit. Let the grasp go. Feed what you need to not be in the situation that I was in. If you don't want that for you, then you have to want to change. You're going to have to want to do things sometimes that you're not going to like, that you don't want to do. You think I wanted to fly down to Florida and see my dad die? No, I didn't want to do that. I just know that I had to. Do you think I wanted to sit there and hold his hand? No, I didn't want to. But that was going to be my last chance with my father. And I had to make the best of it because I know I needed that. I needed the healing. He's never given me anything like that in 35 years. But I did it for myself because I know that, one, it would give him peace in his death, because I'm sure he knew, just by the way he was talking and doing things. I'm sure he knew. And I know that he didn't have the strength to give me a hug. I know that he didn't have the strength to tell me that he loved me. I know he didn't have the strength to tell me how proud he was. I knew that he didn't have the strength. He could barely muster the word thank you. He was struggling to save my son. I watched him try to give my mom a hug and get like 3 inches off the bed and fall right back down. It broke me because I'm like, wow, even in his deathbed, after all this shit we've been through, he still loves her. That was nice to see. That humility between my parents. And believe me, my mom, shit, my 35 years of trauma did not compare to hers. Bro, because I got to leave the house. She had to stay. She stayed there. You know, I got to grow up and leave, and she stayed with the man. So again, it's humbling, and it's humbling in that, seeing my parents do that. You know, I know you know your situation. Your parents are divorced and all that stuff, but like my parents at 70 plus years old were getting ready for a divorce. Today was their court hearing to get divorced. Today. Or their preliminary hearings to get divorced today. So that's how fucked up their situation was. At 70 plus years old, that is the resentment and frustration and hatred they had to one another. But it took death to reunite them and to be humble and to show a little bit of a love and affection. That again, in the darkness, is still there. They just had to feed it. They're just ill-equipped to move past all that shit. We're younger, we're smarter, and we have all the tools in the world to not be like them. So don't be like your mom. Don't hold on to that resentment. Don't hold on to that hatred. Don't feed that bullshit. And do what Jesus would do. Honestly. Like, it sounds dumb, but do what Jesus would do. You don't have to be...
It's so true. And I know my older brother, I mean, he tells me all the time, he's like, your mother's dead to me. So it's just like, it's like that bad. And I'm just like,
it's crazy.
I feel my heart goes out to him because I feel like in that situation, my mom like broke him.
100%.
So she won because
But what did she really win?
She tainted him. No, what I mean is like he let her win because he let her bullshit infect him, and like he's still a good person and he treats people well, but his perception of his mother is like just destroyed. And
I don't say that's a win. I say that's a double loss. He loses out in a good relationship with his mother. She loses out on a good relationship with his son.
But I have that relationship. I have a good relationship with her, and it ain't that fucking good, to be honest with you. So sometimes I like.
So you're saying it could be better?
Yeah, of course. I mean, she's just this
get after it,
unstoppable force of just. Bleh.
But yeah, but you got to put yourself in her shoes too. That's the humbling part, right? So what I've learned from my past relationship was my partner always wanted validation. She always wanted to be reaffirmed, and she just wanted to be told that she was right, even if she wasn't. Right?
Crazy.
You have to humble yourself a little bit. The reason why we didn't fight as much as we did, or as much as we could have, is because at some point when she's talking, I put myself in her shoes. I actually think about what I know about her, all the shit that I know about her or knew about her. I would think this is why she's feeling this way. And I'm not doing my part. I'm not giving her what she needs. She's also not giving me what I need. So in the moment, I was like, man, if she's not doing what I want, then why the fuck should I do what she wants? That's not right. Because maybe, just maybe, if you do what the other person needs, they will return. Karma's a motherfucker, but karma exists. Karma works both ways, good and bad. You start doing the right thing, you start being the person that you know you are. It might not happen overnight. You got to understand that. And it might not come in the way that you necessarily want it at the moment, but eventually it will start coming to you in bits and pieces. Where all that resentment, all that like that battle you guys probably do, probably won't be battle all the time. It'll probably be less bleh and a little bit more like, okay, fine. Like you're still going to get some of it because they are who they are, but it'll be less.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, but it'll be less and
100%.
less.
That's the trigger. That's the trigger of it all, you know.
But you know that though. You know that.
My mom didn't see my sister for years, and she went to Florida, and within the first 3 hours of being in my sister's house, I was already getting phone calls. It was already hell breaking loose, and I had to fucking mediate between the both of them.
It's funny.
Just like it's like my mom is so infected with
darkness.
With the spirit of pride.
It's a sin. It's darkness.
She is so prideful. Like she gets so offended if anybody says anything bad about her because her image is the most important thing to her, and her mask, she wears it well, dude. She's always the victim. She goes over to family house, and they talk shit about me. I'm the bad guy. She's the victim, and turns people against, throws other people under the bus to make herself look good. It's
sorry, you're telling.
How do you have a relationship, a healthy relationship, with a person like that?
And
That's what I want to know.
We live the same lives, dude. We live the same lives in different. We're different people. We live the same lives. So my two older brothers, have a father. Right? My parents got together, had me, and I'm the one that connects the two sides. My two older brothers have a father. Their father is still alive. I met him. So technically there's three of us. There's three brothers. The middle one, they both always said they hate their father. The middle one tried to repair that relationship with their dad. That's how I met him, through the middle brother. Guy's nothing to me. Right? He's my brother's father, not my father. I met him. My oldest brother said the same thing that your oldest brother said to my mom. That dude's done. He's done to me. He doesn't exist. My brother will never have the relationship that my middle brother has with his father, which again isn't the greatest because again they forget what they've done because they want to move past it. And again, like you said, it's a trigger. But understanding your triggers and staying in control as best as you can is important. I have triggers too, right? I have triggers with my father. I have triggers in relationships. I have triggers just my life experiences, the shit that I've been through in life. I have plenty of fucking triggers. Understanding them and knowing that you need to stay in control of them, to not poison your own life, to not feed the darkness, is so important. And then you talk about how your mother goes and talks shit about the other family. My dad did the exact same thing. People in Portugal, I've never fucking met in my entire life. I have family in Portugal I've never fucking met. I had uncles calling me, cousins. I'm like, who the fuck are these people? And I'm sitting there talking to them like, hey, listen, your brother's dying or your fucking uncle's dying. Like, I don't know who the fuck these people are. Never met them. My dad's over there talking shit, doing the same thing your mom does. Because they were hurt. My dad's divorced, married my mom. They were about to get another divorce. Your mom is divorced. Your mom never got remarried. So your mom had to be a single mother. She had to create that image of her to be strong. Understanding that about your mom and me understanding that about my father is important. They were also hurt. They also lost love. They experienced heartbreak, and me and you both know what that can do to us. It's one of the worst. It's some of the hardest pain to get through. I'd rather be fucking shot, to be honest with you. That was actually one of my first thoughts when I broke up with my ex. Was I'd rather go to Afghanistan for another 7 months and experience all hell than deal with this breakup. thought the same thing about my ex-wife. I thought the same thing about my ex-girlfriend. I thought the same every single time. Oh shit. Actually, every single time. Every single time I ended a relationship, I went to the recruiting office to try to go back in the Marine Corps, to try to go back to war. And every time I got told no because of my
Good.
tattoos.
I'm glad they said no.
Same kind of, I did love my job, but again, there's a plan for me. I don't know what the fuck it is, but I'm here for it now. I accept it. Whatever it is, I accept it. And that's the thing right there. See, me and you have lived the same lives, dude, because we both grew up with parents from a similar generation. My parents are a little older than yours, but the same generation in the same country.
My parents are 70 plus.
Oh, okay, there you go. So then it's the same generation. They grew up in the same fucking thing. So again, from the same country, same generation, same upbringing, basically. Details may be made different, but it's all the same shit. So I know exactly what you're going through. And again, picture perfect, dude. Picture perfect. It might not be me and like my brothers are going through the same shit. And I'm about to connect more dots. You said your mom went to Florida to go be with your sister, correct?
Yeah, a while ago.
Right, and it was all hell broke loose, right?
Mm-hmm.
Part of my stress going to Florida was my mom talking to my sister. Because I haven't talked to my sister, not because me and her have had a bad relationship, because I hear all this shit she's done and either the lies that my dad told or we never got her side of the story and we never knew exactly what she was going through. So there was always a bad image of my sister and my mom was always like the brunt of it. So, and obviously I'm going to support my mom because my sister was never in the picture. So when they went down there, I was like, oh, fuck. It was another stress of mine. Like, fuck, man, I hope, and my mom was like, I'm not going to talk to your sister. I'll be peaceful, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, fuck me, dude. Like, fuck me. This is going to be one fucking, my dad's dying. I don't need this fucking bullshit. I'm already dealing with, bro, they didn't shut the fuck up. All they did was,
arguing?
No, all they did was talk, apologize, and tell each other each side of the story. They found healing in the situation that we were in. And I was surprised. And that in itself was humbling.
We usually build shit up in our minds, bro. And the reality of it is way less complicated than we perceive it in our brain, which is probably the same thing with my relationship with my mom, is I'm just kind of building it up with my own fears in my head.
Fears, resentment, hatred, all that shit. You're feeding the darkness and you're continued to feed it. Stop feeding it. It's not going to happen overnight, but if you just try to implement what you know that is good and right, because I know you know this, I'm telling you, eventually things will change.
I hate the person that I am when I have to communicate with my mother, so much so that I make sure that I'm not that person when I'm interacting with others, because I don't, with her, I have to be closed off, because if I share too much, she, uses it against me. So there's certain things that I need to, so she gets a very specific version of me, which is not the same version of me that everyone else gets, because the version that you get, the version that everybody gets, is the same guy, essentially. Because I'm not I've always kind of been the same dude. I don't know. I mean, if I've changed, it's been kind of, I've never really noticed it. But overall, you've always kind of been the same guy too since high school. We're still kind of those same guys in a certain
they're in there
sense of it all. Yeah, they're in there. Our younger selves, our youthful selves. That's when we do something fun. That's the side of us that comes out, is like our inner child. And it's hard to be myself with her, because she always because she's the one responsible for all my trauma.
I know
A
it's hard.
conversation with her is like covered in gas, and all it takes is a little spark.
But here's the thing. You know this. This is what makes you better than her already. You know that you can't overshare, but doesn't mean you can't share. You know that you're different when you're with her, but you don't want that to be your reality. You said it. You don't want to have to wait for her to die to get that closure or to have a relationship with her. So you know these things, you want these things. And we can't always be the same person we were in high school. I know that I have tendencies and I know that I have a lot of things that are similar to who I was. Because again, there's a lot of good things about my youthful years that I'll never change. But I know that I have to be a different person. One, I'm a father, so I have to work on that too. But I'm a father. I want someone in my life. In what capacity, I don't know yet. I don't know if I'm going to full on marry, but I want a ride or die for sure, 100%. You know, I'm not right now. It's not my priority because I got a lot of other shit that I need to work on. But I want a ride or die. If it comes, we're gonna go on this ride. And I know that I just overall want to be better. And if those are things that you want, you're going to have to want to change more than you're going to want to fight with your mom, more than you're going to want to feed the shit that, is probably not the right way of doing it. You can't, well, you can do whatever the fuck you want. But if you really want things to be different, you can't be doing the same bullshit you always do. The definition of insanity is doing the same thing, expecting a different result.
Yep.
So I'm not going to sit here and say completely 180 on your mom, but like practice some habits.
I've tried doing some things over the years, like something that we always enjoyed doing together ever since I was a little kid was watch movies. We would always like go to the movies and shit like that. Like we've seen every Jackass movie in the theaters. I always liked kind of showing her shit that was like R-rated with a lot of violence and gore and action because like just to see her reaction to it. And that was kind of always the way that we bonded. And I remember one of my best memories with her is me introducing her to the show Breaking Bad because I had seen it at that point. I maybe had seen it like 3 or 4 times. And I knew that she would love that show, that she would appreciate it very much. So, dude, and it took us maybe like 3 months watching like, 2 episodes a day maybe.
Right.
It took a long ass time. But that was a super cool thing, and the reason why I enjoy doing that with my mom is because her attention is focused on the movie. Not and no matter what, she's not gonna ask me anything about what I'm doing with my job or when this, when that, or what a failure or disappointment I am to her. Everything she's talking about is like, oh, why did he do that? Why is that going on? Well, who's that? And I'm just like talking to her. So it's kind of like me putting something on for us to watch is a way of me manipulating the situation in order to have kind of
I hear the words you're
a
saying.
moment, you know.
I hear the words you're saying, and I don't like them. Change your perspective. You're spending time with your mom. You're not manipulating the situation. You're spending time with your mom. Obviously, it's hard to hear, negative shit from somebody. Nobody wants to get like shit talked to. I get that completely. And if your mom, you got to give your mom a little bit of grace and give her the benefit of the doubt. You got to think that, yeah, she's maybe not talking shit to you, but she probably does also enjoy having those moments with you.
Oh yeah.
Right. Okay. So you know that, but the words that you're putting out feeds that negativity in your brain. The fact that you're saying that, oh, it's my way of manipulating my mom so she doesn't talk shit about me. Bro, then don't say that. You're doing it because you want to spend time.
Because in any other scenario, I would really want to hang out with her because it would inevitably turn into
I get
Joey punching bag session. But at least if we're watching something, it's like
you're spending time with your mom.
This is nice.
That's the compromise.
Chilling.
I told you, you got to find the compromise because again, they're not going to change. You might get some things that'll that she'll give on, but it's still. It's having that kind of relationship with your mom. Like if that's the relationship that we're going to get, hey, value it, hold it dearly. Like I hated fishing. I hate fishing because I think it's boring. I wish I went fishing with my dad. He taught me how to do it. I did it a couple times. I have one really good memory of my dad when we went fishing.
Me too. I got one
Yeah.
fishing memory with my pops on the beach.
Same. Again, same. All day we didn't. All day these three Portuguese fucking Zemanels are fucking over here not catching shit. All these guys are pro fishers. Blah 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 blah. I was like, Dad, let me try casting it. Are you sure? Yeah, let me try casting it. And I fucking zipped that bitch. Best cast I ever did in my whole entire life. Couldn't repeat it if I wanted to. That bitch went. He's like, holy shit. He was proud. Didn't say it, but he was proud. I can tell. Sitting there and he's fucking talking shit to me. Stop touching, let it sit. I'm like, listen, I know what I'm doing. Now talking shit back to him.
I would have been like, "You gave me advice. You haven't caught anything all day.
That's basically what I was saying, right? You know,
Let me do it my way. See what happens."
right. So I was like, and that's what I said. I was like, I know what I'm doing. Not nada. You don't know nothing. Now, I didn't know what I was doing, but I know that sometimes you got to wiggle to get that nibble. Damn that rhyme. I'm good. Anyway, so that's what I was basically doing. Bro, I caught the biggest fucking flounder they have ever seen in their entire life. He's like, oh, like when I was pulling it in, he's like, oh shit, he's got something. I'm sitting there like, fucking, I don't know how old I was, young as fuck. I was sitting there fucking fighting with this bitch and fucking pulling and fighting and pulling and fighting. Bitch comes out. Bitch was like this fucking big, dude. Like a solid, like almost 30-inch flounder, bro. Huge fucking thing. Only thing caught that day. That day, this is before the hurricanes destroyed the old boardwalk in Long Branch. And there used to be a Portuguese restaurant right on the boardwalk. Bro, my dad, biggest fucking smile he can have, walks right into that fucking restaurant, tells the cook, hey, grill this. My son fucking caught this shit. We're going to eat it right now. Did he ever tell me he was proud? No, but his actions did. And that's the memory that I remember. Because I always said, my dad never said I was used. Not once did my dad ever tell me he was proud of me. Not once did my dad ever tell me that he loved me that I can remember, but he did it in certain actions. And that's the perspective shift that I'm talking about with you. Your mom's not telling you that she loves you, but she's sitting there, allowing you to show her a show that you've watched and spend time together. And is actually questioning what's going on in the show because she's asking you for help. If you change the perspective in what's going on in your life changes. You want to spend time with your mom, you're not manipulating the situation, you just want to spend time with your mom. Knowing that your mom is a certain type of way, but you're trying to spend time with your mom. You want to see her reaction. Why do you want to see her reaction? Because you think it's funny? Because it'll make you happy? Doesn't sound like manipulation to me.
Yeah.
Perspective, my friend, perspective.
It's just hard to face that because everything that's negative about me comes from her. That's the source of it all, And I feel like when she dies, all that negativity that she infected me with, that I think is a part of me, but in reality, it's a part of her. When she goes, I feel like that's gonna go with her as well, and
You
I'll
don't
have more peace.
You don't know that, so do you want to risk that?
No.
Yeah. So you have to do something. Action. And I'm not saying that it's not all from your mom, but to some extent you need to take accountability for the resentment that you hold on to, for the negativity that you hold on to. That is your part that you play. Not one person is ever 100% at fault. They might have more than 50%, but not one person is ever completely at fault.
You're right.
So that's my non-professional advice to you.
I've tried to, walk the noble path.
It's hard
with that line, because it could have done what my brother and sister did and just kind of stayed in Florida and just kind of did whatever I needed to do to make it work out there and never come back. But I when they when my dad, my brother, my sister left us, they left me too. So I kind of I know what it feels like to be left behind and abandoned, and I don't wish that on anybody. So that's another reason why it's really hard for me to turn my back on my mom, and that's why I'm still here, trying to have a relationship with her. but fuck, is it difficult, man.
So it's funny you say
It's
that. My mom, at one point, because of my father, left as well for about a year. She left me for about a year. She left me behind. And we actually talked about that. Again, I told you I drove back from Florida with my dad's car. And at some point in that 18-hour ride, that conversation came up. And I told my mom, I felt like you abandoned me. And she's like, but I didn't abandon you. I just couldn't tolerate him. Things were that bad that she just couldn't stand it anymore. And that, again, is it an excuse? Yes, it's an excuse. Is it a good one? Maybe. At the time, it didn't feel like a good one. And then my dad obviously manipulated me, telling me that my mom didn't love me no more and she didn't want us no more. Obviously, he had his part to play in it. And that's why ultimately, like, I had no choice but to stay with my dad, but it made staying with my dad easier. Because my mom didn't, like, my mom went where she was working at the time. Well, it's technically where she's still working now. But at the time where she was working, she basically is like, she's not a cleaning lady. She's like a fucking housekeeper, maid, cleaning lady, all in one. Like, she cooks. She's a cook there too. It's like she works for a rich family, a very rich family, and they basically said, "You're going to come here and you can live here, but you can't bring a kid here. This is work." So ultimately, mom couldn't take me with her. I didn't understand that then as a kid, but I understand that now as an adult, and that led to like letting go. But it scarred me to where I hate being abandoned. I hate being left. I hate it. I'll stay in shitty relationships because I don't want to abandon them. Because I don't want that, what I feel for them, like for them to feel that. But at some point, are you going to protect yourself or are you going to keep getting fucking hit?
Yeah.
So again, a lot of growth, a lot of perspective, a lot of change, again, has to happen. If you really truly want a good relationship or a better relationship with your mom, then you're going to have to put in some work. It's going to be hard. And usually the righteous path is usually not the easiest. Right? You had a man healing people, feeding people, doing all these crazy things, and still got fucking crucified. So if you're gonna if you're gonna base it off of that, bro, But yeah, what a fucking podcast. What a fucking podcast, bro. Welcome back,
dude.
Balls Deep. This is what we're fucking talking about. You got a new version of me. You got some fucking, back of, Joey back in the fucking, feelings over there. Like he's quiet. He's fucking quiet because he's fucking feeling shit right now.
Nah.
Yeah, come on.
Did our roles reverse over our break?
I think we started bridging them together. That's what I think is happening. I think what's happening is I'm fucking finally growing up and not being this fucking closed off wall. And you're just like, and I'm just like, almost like I'm catching up. So we're I'm gonna call it there. An hour and 18 minutes into this motherfucker. And I think this is a good time to fucking call it and leaving you guys a little bit of, knowledge. We gave you some knowledge. We gave you a little bit of history where we've been at for the last 2.5 months. We're telling you guys that we're going to come back, hopefully stronger than ever. Try to be as consistent as possible, both for our own channels and more importantly for the charity channel. So everybody on the charity channel, thank you for coming out and watching us. We're going to be back next week. And as long as no life crazy shit happens, same time next week, Friday, 6 p.m. And yeah, I look forward to bringing this back and keeping this going. What do you say?
Yeah, I'm very excited. It's been far too long and it feels good to be back. I hope everybody out there watching is doing well. I hope that at least somebody out there was able to maybe learn a thing or two from what we were saying. Hopefully we changed somebody's perspective a little bit. And it's all love, man. At the end of the day, it's all nothing but love. And we'll see you next week, 6 o'clock.
Hells yeah. So again, everybody, thank you. Make sure you're checking out Always Give Back charity, websites, all that good stuff. We always support. Just the viewership alone is wonderful to see you guys here and see you guys in the chat. You guys are more than welcome to always talk in the chat and send us your opinions and all that good stuff. We haven't really discussed it, but what do you want to talk about next week? I remember you actually bringing up a topic when we thought about bringing the podcast back earlier, and I forgot what it was. Do you remember?
Consistency.
Man,
And I didn't mean like, I meant like consistency as in like doing good things that are good for us on a daily basis, like taking care of ourselves consistently.
okay.
Is huge. Like if you know that you suffer from depression, and you know that like if you wake up in the morning and when you go outside for 5 minutes that it makes you feel better because you're out in the sun, then you need to consistently every morning when you wake up and you're like, well, I'm feeling it. Yep, you need to be able to recognize that you're feeling it and then start taking the appropriate steps to, do what you need to do to make yourself feel better.
Yeah, I'm good with that. We could talk about some good healing and good things that we can do in our lives, and maybe share some of our little tools of our trade that we do to make ourselves feel better.
We can each talk about what helps us when we're feeling down and things that make us happy and stuff like that. And maybe we can kind of combine a little regimen plan, our own balls deep custom regimen plan that you can like, something that you remember, like, okay, I'm feeling this way. What would the balls deep guys do? And like, boom, boom, boom,
That's fucking dope. I actually like that idea. Coming at you guys. We're gonna fucking making shit happen. We're back, baby. We're fucking back. If you guys ever have a topic that you guys want to discuss and we didn't cover it yet, please message us. If you're not part of the AGB Discord, go to the AGB Discord. Message me. My name is the same, bearded_vet51. I think yours is the same too.
Swats. OZ Swats.
Yeah, OZ Swats. So message us directly if you guys want to, talk about something. If you have a story you want to share, and maybe be, I don't know, what's the word I'm looking for? Anonymous. Anonymous is the word I'm looking for. And we'll be happy to talk about it and discuss it. Again, we're back. So
also, if you guys want to hang out with me, I stream on Twitch a lot. So come hang out on the Twitch. And if you want to just chill, man, we don't have to talk about anything. We can just hang out. That's always. I like to hang out, man.
He plays superhero games. He's fucking wannabe Spider-Man over here. He's fucking dope.
Yeah. Oh, damn! I'd be kicking ass as Spidey. Of course, Spidey would be the one that I would.
Of course.
Yeah, he's the hardest character to play as. He's got a 5-star difficulty rating, so it's hard as hell to play as him. But it's damn, I'm getting the fucking hang of it.
The first time I was watching you, I was like, why is he not playing Spider-Man? And then like you go like, let me try Spider-Man one more time. Fuck, he's hard. I don't fucking understand this. I'm like, damn it, the one like his favorite fucking Marvel character, and he can't even fucking play because he's fucking super hard.
Yeah, because I mean, Spidey's biggest advantage is that he's quick. He can go toe to toe with Hulk because he's quick. So if I'm not quick, I just get, you queef on him and he dies. So you gotta like
queef, baby. Anyway, it was awesome being back here with you guys, and I can't wait to be back next week. So see you later, motherfuckers.
So we were going to bring them up to visit for a couple of days, but my community doesn't think in those small terms. So what we actually did was brought them home to you permanently.
Welcome to Always Give Back, a charity that supports our active duty and military veterans. We believe that our service members deserve better support and strive to utilize our resources to create a supportive community. As part of this mission, we want to build a welcoming and inclusive community that will provide support in many areas. And with your support, we can empower individuals to overcome challenges and thrive. With the support of our community, it allows us to build PCs for veterans, give care packages to our active duty members, and even offer partner giveaways. While their mission may be over, ours is just beginning. And if you want to support or partner with our charity, please visit our website at alwaysgiveback.org. Together, we can help and support our heroes. And remember to always give back.